honey and lemon. But, you know, you could come in for a nice glass of wine. I'm sure it'd be delicious.
Oh, okay. But for you, it's a hot glass of water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we'll keep it brief. Today's confession comes from Vincent. Dear Father Simon, Brother Matt, Sister Susie, and the forgiving Greatest Hits radio listeners. Well, we'll see, shall we? The year is 1974. I was a young 5-year-old and 2 years older than my younger brother Keith, which makes him 3. We worked that one out.
Yeah.
He was a typical 3-year-old, and though he was my mum's curly blonde-haired sweetie who could do no wrong, usual sibling rivalry was rife. I have to say at this point that my dad was serving in the Royal Navy at the time, and we lived in a standard married quarters. At the time of this incident, Dad was away at sea, and so it was my responsibility to look after my younger brother whenever Mum had to pop out. Now, for those who've not lived in Her Majesty's Forces married quarters, it's a bit like being handed a rundown house to live in, that when you move out due to a posting, it's expected by the estate's manager to be handed back in a condition like Buckingham Palace. As you can imagine, trying to keep a house clean with 2 young boys can be a bit stressful, especially when the quarters are the property of the government and expected to be maintained to the highest standard. So on the day in question, my brother and I had been left to our own devices, whilst Mum walked to pick up the weekly shop. Before Mum left, she told me to make sure that Keith was not left alone, and that I was to be the responsible brother and keep him entertained. Being a good brother, I got Keith's colouring book and crayons. We lay on the floor, colouring in the pictures. I soon got bored of colouring, though. I would rather be outside playing with my Matchbox card collection than looking after my boring brother. So I wandered out into the hallway looking for something else to do. I do not know why the thought came to me, Father Simon, but having just spent a while with my brother colouring, the interior of the house looked rather bland, and there was this huge blank magnolia-coloured wall going all the way up the stairs, which looked in need of some adjustment.
Oh, no.
I still do not know what possessed me, but I looked at the crayons in my hand, then looked at the wall, back to the crayons, then without hesitation I ran up the stairs, dragging the crayons along the wall as I went. When I got to the top, I looked at my work and thought it needed a bit more colour, so I repeated the feat going back downstairs. Then I went up again, then I went down again. I went up again, then when it was done, I looked at my artistic expression of crayon mayhem and thought it looked much better than just plain boring magnolia, and I felt really pleased with myself. Then, just like coming out of a daze, I suddenly realised what I'd done and how much trouble I was in. Panic gripped me and I feared the wrath of Mum when she got home. I mean, I was still on thin ice after cutting off my brother's golden curly locks the week before during a game of barbershop, which I don't actually think is an actual game, but anyway. I had to think fast, and as I entered the front room, I saw Keith, and then a plan came to me. If I could pin this on my brother, I might be lucky enough to dodge the blame. Making up some excuse, I removed all the crayons from my brother, but said that he could have the ones that I had, and I didn't need them anymore, and I then left him in the front room, colouring in his book, whilst I went up to my bedroom, nervously hoping that my plan would work. It was not long until I heard the front door, and Mum had returned. I waited. It seemed like an eternity, and then the gates of hell opened. The scream filled the house, and I would not be surprised if the whole road heard it. I came running down the stairs, pretending not to notice the crayon lines adorning the walls, and ran to Mum. "What's wrong? Are you okay?" I said in my best impression of someone totally unaware of what was going on. "Did you do this?" Mum said, a face like thunder, shaking with anger, pointing at the wall. "Do what?" I said in my most innocent voice, and followed Mum's pointed finger to the wall. "Did you do this?" Mum said again, going red. "I have not done this," I said, gesturing at the wall. "It was not me." And then I decided to pull the pin on my deception and said in a matter-of-fact way, "Though I did see Keith with some crayons earlier in the front room."
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Mum stormed into the front room to find Keith with crayons in his hand.
There they are.
Even better than that, he had coloured the whole page and actually gone onto the carpet. Busted, I thought to myself, just as Mum went into overdrive, dragging Keith into the hallway and confronting him with why he would do such a thing, and the classic "wait till your father finds out" line was actually used. Keith started to cry and pleaded that he was not to blame, but me. I was the person who did it, said Vincent. I just denied the fact that it was my handiwork because I was not using the crayon colours that now adorned the staircase wall. The evidence was strong, and he was taken into the kitchen only to return with a bucket of soapy water and cloth. Mum made him clean the entire wall.
Wow.
and I basked in my inventive creativeness. I kept up the pressure on my brother by saying, "Why did you do it? Why did you do it?"
Oh, no.
So much so that in the end he actually thought that he had done it and continues to think he had done it till this day.
To this day. Wow.
Simon, I wish to seek your forgiveness, not just for my brother, who was the target of my redirection of blame and the years of torment he received about his artistic skills, but from my mum, who not only had to write to Dad about how their little angel had decided to redecorate the hall, but also that she ended up cleaning the walls herself, as the crayon marks never did come out fully, resulting in a complete repaint of the walls. Also, I need forgiveness from my dad, who was, for the rest of his tour, the subject of ridicule about his artistic son and the fact that he was going to have words with Keith when he got home. Father Simon, I beg your forgiveness, please, for my actions, and I place my fate in the hands of the collective and your listeners. I hope you enjoyed that. Very good, Fate. Sister Susie, then, another shocking story of sibling angst and rebellion.
Well, I know what Brother Matt's going to say already,
Yes.
and I am shocked, Vincent. Poor Keith. Not only did you chop his lovely hair off the week before, but you blamed him for all the colouring. And he believed himself. He did it. It's just not fair.
Still does.
You're the older brother. You should have known better. You should have looked out for him, and you should have taken responsibility. I can't forgive you. Not at all.
Brother from another gutter.
I mean, you've got to applaud Vincent's quick thinking here, really, haven't you? I mean, why to have done this and then point the finger straight away at younger brother. Of course, as Susie's already worked out, I am going to forgive. But I think that Mum missed a trick here, because surely what you would do in those circumstances is rip the wallpaper off the wall and then put disperse-moi underneath it and sell it to an oligarch for millions.
Is that right?
That's art. So I am going to forgive.
Of course you are. Okay, so it's the people that you